Still on the United States, and from trying to stop the war in Ukraine to dismantling the United States bureaucracy, it's a busy time. Joining me live is Democratic Strategist Theryn Bond. Theryn, well, let's start here in Taiwan. The rumblings around the world because of tariffs is enormous.
The long and short of it all is that if President Trump decides to continue to boast about his want to impose tariffs, despite what country it may be against, we, the American taxpayers, are going to be the ones to foot the bill. And there are several economists and other experts who support those facts. The reality is that he is speaking from a billionaire's perspective, who himself is surrounded by other billionaires who many would say would be out of touch with the pockets of the American people in kitchen table things. And so when we talk about tariffs, we have to talk about who can benefit the most and who will benefit the least and who will foot the bill. And it is by far a huge stretch to say that it will improve American outcomes, because in fact, it will hurt our pockets the most and the hardest and first.
What about this relationship, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, that media conference in the Oval Office? I haven't seen anything quite like it in all my time.
It's odd, to say the least, and very weird and highly unusual. But I think the moves at this current administration have been weird and highly unusual. So it's right in step with the administration and how they've been moving since just before inauguration of Trump's second term. But what I think is even more eerie about it is the ego in that room, and that Elon Musk's ego far outweighs that of President Trump's. And I'm not sure that that's going to bode for President Trump too well for too long. We saw him get a bit agitated when Elon Musk was hanging around Mar-a-Lago too long, shortly after the election, but just before inaugural activities. And now we see he is still there. We're starting to question whether or not Elon Musk has a home or a country home of his own, or even an office, and when he does his own business to handle his own affairs, because it seems like he is more consumed with the affairs of the American people and that of President Donald Trump in a way that only benefits him and his other billionaire friends and not the American taxpayers. I think this may be a relationship that is short-lived and soon to come to an end if Elon Musk continues to outshine President Donald Trump. Because while many want to say that, yes, President Donald Trump did win this last election for the White House, we did not vote for Elon Musk. There were some who voted for Vice President Kamala Harris at the time. There were some who voted for the second time, President Donald Trump. But no one voted for Elon Musk. And the more he continues to outshine President Trump, the more agitated I fear he will be.
We have a Kennedy back in Washington, Robert Kennedy, and he's a polarising figure. So many people really like the whole idea of making America healthy again, and his attack on some of the faster foods, which are impacting health, but some of his other ideas quite controversial.
I think when we look at where America stands and what's in our foods, especially in comparison to other countries, there are things like dyes and all those fancy numbers and words that you see on the back of packaging about contents for foods that have been questionable for quite some time. But this isn't a new issue, and this isn't something that American government has tried to address just now. It's just that RFK Jr. has become an extremely politicized figure in this space now. And I don't think people question what we have in foods and how that should be dealt with. I think people are more concerned with his anti-vax statements and stances on things. And while we know there have been several diseases and things that have been eradicated or are near eradication, to limit vaccines or in any way to suggest that they are not helpful to the American public, especially when we talk about school-age children who are also now living in multi-generational homes for a significant part of the population. Now we're talking about multiple generations and bringing back things that could be harmful, not just to one or two people, but to millions of people. And because he is in leadership now, people will look to him for guidance. And there's a certain air of responsibility that comes along
Yeah.
with that. And so his anti-vaccine statements won't bode well if we start to see that formulate in policies that he pushes now that he is the new secretary as of yesterday.
Just finally, Theryn, what about the Democrats? It has been shambolic, really. How do you, as a party, and you're a Democrat yourself, how do you rebuild?
Well, we first rebuild by being honest. We have to be honest about what went right, and certainly by far what went wrong during not only the 2024 election cycle, but the 2022 midterms and every election cycle that precedes that, where we had significant losses or where we had flips from blue
Yep.
to red, or where things should have been maybe more purple, but have now consequentially leaned more red, especially after last November. We have to be honest about that. And so far, there have not been enough honest conversations. And honestly, there has to be a bit of finger pointing and blaming, because there are people that have been positioned and paid very well, who have been in those seats for decades, who have been in those leadership positions for decades, that are not serving the party, let alone the American public well.
Yep.
And if we want to get some wins in the midterms in 2026, and certainly if we want to win back the White House in 2028, we have to get our senior leadership on the government side back together. We have to get our senior leadership on a forward, more progressive path within the DNC. And we have to put people around all of those folks to get it done. If not, we're going to be in a worse place off than we
Yep.
are now. But it
It's a
starts
long,
with being honest and being willing to reset and put the right people in place.
yeah, it's a long road back. There's no question. Thank you, Theryn. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.